Tonight we continue our series of pre-election interviews by turning to the race for City Councilor in District 7. The district includes most of Roxbury, along with parts of Dorchester, the South End, and the Fenway. Our guest is one of the challengers in the preliminary election happening September 8th. We'd like to welcome Althea Garrison. Thank you very much for being with us, Althea.
Oh, thank you much for having me here, Chris.
Well, for voters, you're certainly a familiar name. It's hardly a year goes by when your name isn't on the ballot. But aside from doing that, what have you been up to recently?
Fighting to improve the transportation. As you know, that was one of my issues. When I was a state rep, I constantly fighting. There's never no end to it. It was
the bus service on Washington Street, right?
Yes.
Right.
And Fields Corner and Upton's Corner.
Right.
Yes.
But more recently, you work for the state, right?
I work for the state controller.
What do you do exactly?
Actually, I manage the mail room. I have my own private office, and I love it because I'm in there by myself. And I've been there over 36 years.
Yeah. So why do you want to be the city councilor? You're not in a little room by yourself when no one's bothering you. This is a different kind of job.
Because I'm constantly fighting on behalf of the citizens in District 7, and I feel as though, like, if I'm going to be fighting and doing the work, why shouldn't I be the councilor? The councilor that are there now does not do a lot of fighting.
No, I'm sure there are a lot of voters who are going to have different feelings about that, and that's why we have the election.
Yeah.
So look, you've tried so many times. You haven't come close most of the time. But why do you keep doing this?
Because I want to be a city councilor. I was a state rep. Now I want to be a city councilor.
But when you talk about fighting, I mean, obviously, let's say right now, violent crime is a big issue in this district. Number of homicides way up in Area B2. How exactly would you fight around that?
Well, first, let me say this, that I think the current city councilor should resign because, like, the crime is outrageous in District 7, and I don't think he's done anything to try to stop the crime or improve the district.
All right, so he should step down. Althea Garrison wins the election, becomes the new city councilor. What's Althea Garrison going to do different?
There's several things. I would demand that I have walk and beat policemen in high crime areas such as Grove Hall, Upton's Corner, and parts of Dorchester. I would walk the streets myself, like I do now. I'm always in the community, and people love me. They really do. And I think that would make a difference. I never see the current councilor in the community, other than if they're having a forum or something like that.
Well, I mean, I have seen him in the community, and yes, usually when there's an event, that's what politicians do. But as far as police, talk about the placement of police, because we do have police in high crime areas. So how would we do this differently?
We don't have visibility. What I'm talking about is like, it used to be a long time ago. They would walk the beats and people would know who the policemen are. We didn't have all that. The crime that we're having today, we didn't have then. Instead of the body cameras, I would rather see bodies on the ground walking the beats instead of those body cameras and stuff. If there was an exchange between one or the other, I would say I would prefer a walk and beat policeman.
Does that mean you're not really that keen on having body cameras at all?
If it comes down like a walk and beat policeman and the body cameras, I prefer them to be out in the community and visible. That way it would cut down on the crime automatically.
Well, why not have both of them?
Well, we might not can afford it.
Right. Talk about jobs in the community, because there has been concern about that. There is a lot of development that's been happening recently. There's going to be more coming down the line, and sometimes it works well and sometimes it doesn't. What would you do to get more jobs for people?
Well, first thing one of the first piece of legislation that I would propose is to create enterprise zones in Upton's Corner, Fields Corner, and Roxbury, where there's high unemployment. That way those areas would qualify for grants, they would qualify for low interest loans, and this would also help bring in small businesses that wants to thrive.
What about some more construction jobs?
Oh, that's good. That sounds good, but we have to monitor those jobs and make sure the people that live in those areas are getting some of the jobs. As far as I know now, they get some, but not that much. Yeah.
Right. Another thing that people are concerned about is the cost of housing. And one idea that's been floated toward the council is that maybe you pass a measure with some new protections for tenants so at least they can't be evicted so easily. What do you think about that?
Well, I'll be honest, I'm kind of in favor of some kind of rent control to protect the tenants and protect the landlords from guarding the tenants.
Now, we had a rent control ordinance before, and there was a statewide referendum that made it illegal. So,
oh, yes.
So what can we do now?
Well, put it back on the ballot again and let the voters vote on it again. And let them decide whether they want rent control again or not. I think that would slow down some of the change that's going on in these communities.
What about the schools?
They're atrocious. And I believe Mr. Jackson is on the committee. I think he might be the chairperson.
Yes, he does chair the education committee.
And people are not, the students are not reading better. They're performing poorly. And I blame the current counselor for that because, like, he should go out and visit a lot of those schools and see what's going on in the schools. Yeah, it's one thing to be chairman of the education committee, but it's another thing to get up off your behind and go out into the schools and see what's going on himself.
So you don't think he knows what's going on in the schools?
Oh, no, I don't. I think he's just...
Now, what about you? Did you visit schools and check up on them yourself?
Yes, I did. When I was a state rep, I sure did.
And what effect did that have?
Oh, I complained about there weren't toilet paper and stuff in the bathrooms and stuff. And when I was there, I made a big difference when I was a state rep. But it's kind of hard when you're not an elected official. It takes twice as long to make change to try to get what someone wants.
What about the plan for the former site of the Dearborn School in Roxbury? It looks as if it's going to be torn down. We're going to have a new building, a new STEM academy. Should we go in that direction?
No. I actually signed a petition to keep that school, because a lot of people that live in that area, they went to school there and they're very concerned about them tearing it down and rebuilding it. And I did sign a petition when they were collecting signatures to try to stop it. So I'm not in favor of tearing that down. They could probably rehabilitate it, I would think.
Right. One other question here. We've got a vote coming up maybe on a raise for the council. There's an advisory board that says you should get maybe a little under $10,000. Bill Linehan feels that we really deserve more than that. What do you feel?
Well, they deserve a raise. How much? I don't know how much, but they do deserve a raise. And if they go by the committee that was studying that, then maybe they should go along with that.
Right. Thank you very much.
If I got elected, I would just go along with the committee thing.
Thank you very much for being with us.
And thank you so much for having me.
Candidate for City Council in District 7, Althea Garrison. And remember, the preliminary election will be September 8th.